and welcome to Magazine Builder Worlds. This is the Road to Salute 53, episode 4. I think it's number 4. Yes, it is. We are now well into, I am now well into building the scenery for our upcoming games at Salute 53 at the Excel on April 11th. Today is Sunday the 15th of March, about that. Yesterday was 4 weeks to the show. I've still got quite a lot to do. If you've seen the other videos already, then you will have seen making the riverboard and the top riverboard, which are mostly done. The resin has arrived, so I'm going to do a pour for that very soon. I've got into making my airship for Ark World as well. That's going to hopefully be there. There's lots more to go with that, but that's coming on too. And I made a number of other little bits going along with that nicely as well. So they're kind of like the mine entrance and thing. That's kind of cool. This video this time, however, is going to focus on the other game we're running at Salute this year, which is, of course, Burrows and Badgers. This will be about the 4th year, I think 4th year, maybe 5th year. We have run a B&B game at Salute. It's something that I've become known for. Those of you who are regulars on this channel know how much I absolutely love Michael Lovejoy's Burrows and Badgers. This is now 2nd edition rulebook. Came out at Salute last year. It was an absolute barnstormer. They sold out absolutely everything, and we had a really cool game of B&B last year in vertical. There were kind of like tunnels and things underground. This year we are returning to probably my favourite setting that I've made for Burrows and Badgers, which is the marsh village of Beamfleot. Here's some footage of our table where we're actually playtesting. Check this out.
Charge or attack, I should say. If I go this way, which would be a 4,
like being able to just immediately take off.
or do I go?
There you are. That's the table being playtested at Wayland Games near Brentwood, which is our new gaming centre we get to go and play at. And it looks great. I absolutely love that table. But the one thing that I have a problem with, it's not a problem, but the fact in the end is that it seemed a bit rude of me just to rock up with a whole bunch of stuff I've already done and put it on a table and play a game. I mean, it's not rude really. It's a great looking table. It's a really evocative setting, and the game we're running is great fun. Works really well on it. But I really want to have a new piece of terrain on that table. So this video is going to focus on making that new piece of terrain for my Beamfleot board. And we're also going to take a look at some of the other models that are on that table. Some of them need some maintenance, repair. Some of them have been around quite some time now. In fact, a few of them even predate this channel. There are photographs and there are kind of like stages, photographs and bits and pieces of them being made, like the Red House and I think the Red Barrel Inn were made before I had a YouTube channel, so they are featured on my Facebook page, and there's probably a video from ages ago featuring B&B scenery and Beamfleot and what have you, but we're going to have a closer look at some of those models as I do some maintenance to them, and so you can have a look, because I absolutely, like I said, I absolutely adore this particular setting. It combines my favourite things, I think, when it comes to war games terrain, which is sea and water and coastal kind of stuff, and then I seem to have a kind of obsession with the idea of settlements on water. So Beamfleot is the best one I've done, the most successful one I've done. I have a yearning to make Lake Town for Middle Earth strategy battle game, purely because it's such a cool setting again, from the Hobbit movies. I've got lots of stuff for Venice, one way or another. And again, that's another great setting. And I have always liked quays and harbours, and I've got a 40mm pirate setup. And I do actually want to make a fantasy pirate setting as well. So I've always had this yearning and interest in doing water kind of stuff, wooden walkways and quays and jetties. So I absolutely love Beamfleot. So we're going to take a look at the models that are on the table, and we're also going to take a look at this new build that I'm going to do. So look, let's come over here first of all, and I'll show you what I've drawn for that down on the workbench, and then we're going to get cracking. Come over here. Now, it's worth pointing out before I show you the notebook and the drawings and stuff. I just want you to know that I came up with the idea for this when I was doing yoga. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, it's one of the things I've been doing. I've been doing yoga for about a year and a half now or more. And it's one of those things that I kind of like laughed at quite a lot. I thought kind of like the concept, me, big hairy fella, round and chubby, doing yoga was, yeah, a bit out there and a bit kind of, and a bit, but actually, I've got to say, I really enjoy going to yoga. It's great fun, especially nowadays because I go with Gary, who was, you know, one of my mates. You've met Gary before. He's been here. He was helping me out in the last video, in fact. And John, another one of the guys who is in Spirit of the Game, who I've known for 30 odd years, yeah, about that. And then another friend, Martin, who I went on holiday with last year, and even my son now goes to yoga. And I find it a really kind of cool thing to do. I thoroughly recommend it. But my yoga session most weeks ends with the gong bath, and you're supposed to clear your mind, let all the week go away during a gong bath and during yoga. And I find that my brain doesn't do that at all. I lie down in a dark room, and if I don't fall asleep, my brain just races around 1,000 miles an hour, coming up with different ideas and things that I ought to be doing, whether it's work related or in this case hobby related. And whilst I was lying on the floor, having this kind of like massive gong bath thing going on, all the vibrations in the dark with the incense going and blah blah, I thought that what is missing from Beamfleot is a common meeting place. A marketplace, if you will. I've got lots of open jetties, but I wanted something bigger than that. So that's what I came up with. But yeah, it's worth knowing. Tim the hippie, yeah, at yoga, giving its big oms whilst lying in Shavasana, or we call it Peshwari, because I can never remember the names probably. But anyway, I came up with this there. So let's have a look now. Let's check it out down here. The idea for this particular piece of terrain then is to have a large central marketplace in the middle of the table, mostly wooden jetties, but I wanted it to be a covered space where the denizens of Beamfleot could gather together. So this is the moot hall from the end then. So we've got water level here, and underneath we've got an island which is going to be XPS foam. It doesn't support the whole thing, but importantly, in the middle of it, there is a large fireplace and chimney that runs right up the middle. Many of the homes in Beamfleot can't have big fires and certainly don't have baking ovens and things. So this is the idea of this is a big communal oven that the denizens of Beamfleot can come and bake bread and various other bits and pieces. We've then got two galleries down the side and then a roof on top. Please note that this is not symmetrical, this picture, but the actual model probably will be. So lots of wooden beams holding up the building, and piles holding up the wooden structure there. XPS foam chimney in the middle. Right, so from the side then, here we go. You can see this is slightly better. Set of steps at one end down into the water. Raised up, here's the island again. Chimney through there, fireplace. Gable end. And the important bit about this is now we can start to see the roof a little bit better. It's going to be quite a long structure in comparison to some. And then from a plan point of view, we can see the main building. And remember, bear in mind, this is kind of like sketching, so I'm doing this off the top of my head. We've got these two side aisles and then this central roof, which is higher. Now, my idea is this central roof is going to lift out so you can get hands inside to play. But these two sides over here, the side aisles, will be permanently on. So yeah, this top section will get off so we can get hands inside. You can also see a key feature of this wooden jetty that it's on is that it's got angled corners here, here and here, because I'm really conscious of the fact that everything I've made so far for this place has been rectangular. You end up, when you get wooden square walkways and square jetties, you end up with very much a grid kind of like layout, lots of right angles, which I just don't think is very organic. Yeah, it's easier to build jetties in right angles, but it looks a bit crap. And so I'm deliberately putting in these angles on the sides here so I can have walkways coming in at an angle. I've got that option, and also going square. So one end there will be stairs down to the water, and I'm going to make it, well, I'm going to make it the size of whatever I've got from a base point of view because I'm running out of time. So put that to one side. Let's find a tape measure. Right, so this is a piece of hardboard I want to make it out of, and we can see that
It's 9 inches mostly, 10 inches here, and it is about 14 inches long. So I'm going to cut an oblong, kind of like roundy, kind of curve bit out of here, and then I think I'm going to draw on how I want the jetty to be, and that will give me a space to build my island underneath. Then I'm going to stick my island on, leave it overnight to dry, and then I can get on doing the next bit, which will be texturing water and putting the piles in and start making the wooden jetty to go on top of it. That's the plan. So what we need to do first of all is get a thing where I'm just gonna get a Sharpie basically, I think, and I'm gonna draw on my island. And what I might do, because I'm not very happy about this bit up here, is thinner than this bit over here, but that might actually work. Might not be exactly the same layout, because I might have this side being where the stairs go down, so this bit here can be a bit thinner. Yeah, cool, let's do that. Okay, so it's going to be quite a big, decent sized structure. This is going to be quite a decent sized structure. It might not be quite as big as I wanted it to be, but then I kind of thinking if it was that big, if it had been as big as I thought it was going to be, or originally wanted it to be, it might be a bit unusable. So from this point of view, it's still quite big. I mean, the main hall is 8 or 9 inches across, and certainly 9 inches long. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this lift out section here. So yeah, the main, it's 12 inches long. I mean, it's quite a big building compared to quite a lot of the things that I've got in most of these things, and there'll be plenty of room underneath for people to gather. And this is going to be the central part of the scenario. You can just about see, I don't know if you can just about see, hang on, we zoom in a little bit. You might just be able to see there's a red line going on here. This is the line that I'm going to build the island to. So the island is going to be this bit. That's going to be in 10mm and then 30mm XPS foam, I think. I might even do a couple of separate islands. Needs to be a solid bit underneath that the chimney's going to stand on, and then that'll be cool. And then that wood there will literally rest on the land, and the chimney will come through it, and then the rest of it can be lower. So it'll be interesting to look at from the side. Steps down to a jetty here. So this is going to be at least 30mm up in here. What I need to do now then is get some XPS foam, cut that to shape and stick that on. I'm thinking I might even go for 2 islands, one that's using a 30mm block and just some 10mm stuff as well, just different heights and kind of things. It's a bit unnecessary in some ways because it's all underneath and it's never going to get played on. I could if I wanted just make the entire thing out of balsa and just have a wooden structure, but I think it will look kind of cool when you get down at table level, and I really love doing that kind of thing, getting down low and amongst all the kind of like the models and looking at what's underneath and holds it up. I like the idea of having a bit of island. They've built this kind of like village in the marsh, and wherever they've got bits of island they've kind of like built stuff on it. So that's what this is going to be. So yeah, I'm going to find some XPS, not this though, because this is 100mm thick. I need some 30mm thick and I need some 10mm thick. that's 10mm. That's a start. Find some 30mm stuff too.
Get out the hot wand.
Right, well, I reckon you've probably seen enough polystyrene being cut out with one of these things recently, but if you missed it and I didn't video any of it, really quickly, this is my hot wand. Here's a piece of polystyrene. Here we go, look. Just for you, because I already cut out the bits that I already want, but I could have another little bit, I suppose. And cut. And just pretend that you're watching me do all of this blue polystyrene. Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Oh, you know, actually put it in camera there, Tim. Look, there we go. And another little bit there. This is the technique. Good stuff. Make sure you're in a well ventilated room, like I currently am not. Otherwise you might end up giving yourself a headache with this stuff, but I don't want it all 10mm thick, so I'm kind of like carving some of those bits off as well. Nice. And this way I'll just have a more interesting profile underneath. I might end up sticking the odd pile through this, you know. It's kind of cool because this is marshy, boggy kind of stuff. So from that point of view, that's what I want it to look like. Cool. So I know where that's going to go. I want to do that like that. I need this bit here because this is roughly where the chimney's going to go. And then I kind of, this kind of thing, that's going to go under there like that. Well, that I think. Right. Okay. So the last part of doing this now is liberally applying Gorilla Wood Glue, my favourite heavy duty PVA, and that's kind of cool. So yeah, this is what we're doing. So there's one big lumpy bit and then 3 lower bits, and then this will all get done as island, and then I'll be able to put the piles on and stuff and texture the water and everything. Great, nice, here we go. So glue, glue, glue. Turn that off. Fire. Smear that glue around. Smear, smear, smear. This is definitely one of the best PVAs I've found. You can use almost any PVA stick XPS, but you get this stuff gives a really, really good bond. So that going over there like that. Like that. Glue on the bottom of this. On there. This 30mm stuff's got really smooth top to it. That's kind of cool. Take some of that off, put it on one of these little ones. No need in wasting it. Stick that down. Like that. Stick this bad boy on here. Kind of like that. And then, yeah, there we go. Got the idea? Good. Okay, so it's the following day, and my bits of Marsh Island are stuck on. I've added an extra tool bit here. Check that out. Just so it's going to add a bit more support to the platform above it. Next job now is to add some stones and some sand to make the islands usable, and then I've got to then start thinking about the piles that are going to hold up the whole platform. So what am I going to use first of all? First of all, I had to go out and buy myself a new tub of stones. A decorative grit, multicoloured. That's £6 for a tub of more stones than I could possibly need. Going to apply, what are we going to use? Can't use, I'd like to use all-purpose adhesive to stick stones. Problem with that, of course, is the fact that it will melt the polystyrene. So I'm using wood glue again. I'm just going to put a few on. I'm not going to use masses of stones because fucking hell, it's all going off. Thank you, Discord. I'm putting a few around the base here, a few on, but most of this is just going to be sand. I'm going to give the stony bits a chance to stick on first of all. Let that go off, and then I'll cover the rest in sand. I'll literally just take it in my decorative grit. dropping it into the glue. I'm then going to get my sand box out and I'll pour sand on top of it, and that will help lock it in place. Oop, oop, oop. There we are, let's find a box of sand. Okay, budgie sand going on. Now I'm going to leave that for an hour or two to go off and get on with some other work. Then I'm going to sand the rest of the blue. Probably won't show you that process, it's putting glue and sand on. How difficult is that? I've sanded my bases, there's a little bit of XPS that's still exposed, but my bases are sanded, they're ready for painting. I've got a bit there as well, but that'll be fine. And what I now need to do is actually put the wooden piles underneath here that are going to support the platform above. What I'm doing with this model is I'm going to make the whole platform separate, I think, because I'm going to get the islands, the marshy islands and the water and the underneath piles all done and cut and made as one and painted before I put the top on, the marketplace and the building on top of it, because once they're in place I won't be able to get to the underneath to paint it. And while it's not super important because it's mostly going to be in dark all the time and blah 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 blah, I do like the idea of players getting down at eye level and looking at it and looking at the level of detail that's underneath. It makes the whole thing a better environment to play games in. Cool, I'd love to play a kind of like role playing game used in this setting. Actually, this would make a really great fantasy role playing game set in a one kind or another, 5th edition D&D or a Warhammer setting, or if there was a role play setting for Boroughs and Badgers, which is still a kind of I think a potential. Mr. Lovejoy, if you're watching, let's make a role playing game together. I'd help. I'd happily write bits of it, because the whole bits of adventuring in Northumbria, adventuring in Albion, where Boroughs and Badgers set, could be really, really cool. There is, of course, a whole bunch of issues with a anthropomorphic setting like B&B that would cause all kinds of, could cause all kinds of meta kind of like confusion, mind you, like, you know, different species getting it together, what they all eat, and various other bits and pieces. But I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that today. So look, these then are going to get stuck at points underneath to support. They don't have to go in anywhere particular. I'm just going to get them stuck on, so they'll support the thing above. I'm hoping they're the same height then as the. I can do that like that, you see. Some of them I could actually dig into the polystyrene, that would make a lot of sense. Right, so I've got my pile of piles, some of which I'm going to just put some extra texture into, to not work a bit of grain into the wood. Using a biro, a bit rough, and in some cases kind of cool. Balsa, I like this balsa because it's soft. You can literally tear it out with a pen nib, which is pretty neat. So it's worth doing that to the top of some of these to make them look soft and a bit rotten. Because I kind of imagine this jetty has been there forever. And, nobody in Beamfleot is really tasked with looking after it, so it's gradually sinking into the marsh. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sticking these on. So I'm going to end up with a forest of piles, because that way I can work the wood and joists and bits and pieces in between it. I'm going to start with the short ones in the middle around the island and stuff. They all need to get glued on and dry successfully, because I want it to be all solid before I add the water, which is polyfiller that's going to go all around them. So I'm going to work from the inside. I've actually put some thought into this. It's amazing. I'm going to work from the inside of the model to the outside, so I don't find it difficult getting my hands in there when I've got things stuck around here. Get me doing the forward planning and thinking. That doesn't happen very often, does it? Okay, so I don't actually know how many of these I've got done now. I do. Right, so what we're going to do is we're literally going to find tube of all-purpose adhesive. Got one over there, look. And I'm going to stick blob of glue on the base of each one of these. I'm going to stick these in place. Find a nice flat end, stick it on the base like that. These are going to be pretty random where they're going. Doesn't have to be pretty. That now then is all of the uprights, the piles in place, and now what I have to do is walk away and leave it for an hour or so for all the glue to go off, because then I can start to put in cross beams to support the actual wooden platform. I'm going to put in cross beams to support the actual wooden platform, so they'll have some going across here, some in some cases in between the different things, in some cases from the piles to the upright bits of land. It's going to be a bit of fun doing that, and for that I'm going to use, this is about 6mm XPS foam that's going to support the actual thing, and each bit there, and I need these bits in the model to go off completely dry so I can cut and fit each bit. And again, I'm going to start on the inside and work my way out. So let's leave it for an hour and see what happens. Right, we are several hours later, not one, but everything is now good and solid stuck on, which is great. So what I'm now going to do is I've started to take this 6mm balsa and trim it, weather it a little, and I'm going to start by cutting lengths, sticking it in so it's the same height, so it's going to support, effectively go top to top. So for example, I'm going to put a bit in here, Alright, so here's there's the island now with a whole bunch of cross beams. They are drying off now. Got to let the glue go off on this completely as well. All of this is going to be hidden by deck. But before I put any decking on, the next mission is to put the water surface on under here. And even then the deck isn't going to get permanently stuck on, because I want to paint this separately to the bit that's going on top. So I'm going to leave this for an hour or so to let the all-purpose adhesive go off, and then I'm coming back to it to do the water. The last bit of today's build is putting the water on. For that we're going to use quick drying polyfiller. Cut off our nozzle. I've got some water in the jar. And I'm literally going to apply polyfiller, swirl it around, make water. Here we go. I like using the ready mix stuff for this. It's just a damn sight easier. I'll use, oh, fuck's sake. I'll use a wet brush and I'll smear this stuff around. Here we go, last few bits going on now. Cool, good stuff this. A couple of really good reasons for using a filler like this to do the water effects. I know I don't always do water effects like this. If you've seen any of my Necromunda videos, you'll see me do simpler PVA and tissue based kind of water effects. But the cool thing about using this filler on a piece like this, well, there are a couple of good reasons really. First of all, I'm using a brush and water, I can smooth it down and swirl it around, and you can really help to kind of create the swirling treacherous waters underneath these kind of piers. If you've ever stood on a pier or jetty and watched the water kind of like crash and swirl around underneath, you can do that with the filler quite well. And the other thing is to be honest, the filler around the bases of all the piles means the whole model is that much more sturdy, because you're attaching the piles to more than just gluing them straight flat down at the base. You know, the water filler goes up around the pile, holds it in place, makes the model way more sturdy. There we go. So there's my watery base now. The time is 01:57 on Tuesday the 17th of March. Perfect time to stop. Allow this all to dry overnight. Ready for painting tomorrow. ready for the top structure to go on. I probably would have got this done quicker had I gone and got a bigger brush. But it did the job fine, so here we go. Right, stop titivating now, Tim. Go to bed. Look at this swirling water underneath the piles of the Moot Hall marketplace for Beamfleot. Yeah, man. Adding the whimsy to Boas and Badgers tonight. Must be the first time I've used the W word in this video. That's one of the things I love about fantasy games like B&B and Arkworld. The amount of whimsy you can get in. That's twice now. Have a drink. There we go. All done. Let's see how whimsical the flat surface can be tomorrow. Alright. Okay, it's following day. My filler's now dry. This is all completely solid. I'm ready to move on. Next job, undercoat it. Get this painted so I can actually build the top layer, the building itself.
Okay, I'm in the house this evening. Not down in the workshop. Mainly because I can be happy with the dogs, not waking anybody up. Painted. Looks pretty cool. Fairly basic paint job, but when you look at it from the side, it's going to be excellent. It's going to be really, really good. I like it. The first thing I need to do is apply gloss Mod Podge. All over the water, because that will give it a glisten, a watery finish. So I need to find a brush and apply Mod Podge. Not going to film doing this, and then I'm going to get on with making the actual building bit that goes on top. Okay, so that lot clearly all white now, will all dry clear but glossy in the morning. And I've gone over quite a lot of the mud because I'm happy for the mud to be all slick and wet as well, because it's based on Essex mud, and Essex mud is slick and wet. I'm going to put that to one side. Now I'm going to get on with making the platform that's going to go on here.
While I'm enjoying building this new building for my B&B Beamfleot table, I thought I'd take an opportunity to share some of the other models from Beamfleot with you. Some people have been watching this channel for 5 years, nearly 6 years that this channel's been going now, will be familiar with the building of some of these models, but not all of them. Beamfleot is my favourite, I think probably my favourite setting that I've created for any game, and certainly for Boas and Badgers. I've made lots for Boas and Badgers, but this is the one that I think, to me, means the most. I started making models for this setting before I started a YouTube channel, when I only used to kind of like do stage by stage photographs on my Facebook page, and like most model projects, they start off fairly small. One of my early models, actually I haven't got the earliest one here, but this is a forge which is made to sit on a little set of islands. It's kind of cute. It comes apart like all my models. It's got teddy bear fur thatch. It's got a little forge right in there. It's kind of cute. This is a really early model. One of the interesting things about the Beamfleot models is I changed the way I make models, or changed the materials that I make models from. A lot of my town-based stuff, my Lunden scenery, for example, was made with XPS foam and foam board, and then uses balsa wood just for details. I think the whole of this terrain set is made entirely from balsa wood as the main material on the whole. There's XPS foam in the islands and bits and pieces, but the actual structures are made from balsa, and that's kind of super important. Stop using coffee stirrers. Use proper modelling materials. Use balsa wood. It comes in so many different forms: square section, triangle section, circular dowel, and then different thicknesses of kind of like flat strips. It's awesome stuff. Okay, so that was a really early model. Then the other models I made before this channel started, other models I made before this channel started, I think came from my love of a couple of things. I love water settings in war games. Super important. They've always really stuck to me, and I'm always drawn to making new water settings, new pirate ports. Beamfleot, I'd love to find a time to make Lake Town for Lord of the Rings. You know, the Some Sea in Necromunda, another watery kind of like based setting. Something about it that just really triggers me. Part of it is the fact that I grew up sailing on the east coast of England, so you know I've spent a lot of time in and on the waters of the River Crouch and the River Roach and the River Blackwater and the North Sea, and slopping around in the mud as well. And certainly for this setting, this represents my love of where I live, of the east coast of England, the salt marshes, the low barren islands, the tidal estuaries, the mud. It's all really, really evocative. It gets really overlooked from a setting point of view, but it's fascinating. Our history around here, there's an awful lot of it when it comes to the salt flats and coasts of the east of England. So this is part of my love of that. The name Beamfleot is the Saxon name from Beamfleet, which is a town, small kind of villagey thing that way, about 2 miles, 3 miles over there, which was the scene of a battle during the reign of Alfred the Great. Where a bunch of Saxons burnt a Viking fleet in the Benfleet in the river that fed into the Thames. So I've always had that kind of thing that I've loved about water settings, and then I've been to places like Venice now, and I've fallen totally in love with that. And I think the other one of the other things that really feeds the love of this particular set is the story The Wind in the Willows, Kenneth Grahame's novel, which I grew up with as a kid. I remember listening to a version of that in the car, narrated by Kenneth Williams, which was awesome. But then in 1983, the Cosgrove Hall stop motion animated version with David Jason as Toad and Sir Michael Hordern as Badger came out, and that was absolutely brilliant. The models in that are charming, and I wanted to kind of capture some of that as well because it goes with the B&B aesthetic, and yeah, it all kind of made a lot of sense. So other early models in the Beamfleot range, I can't remember which one I made first. Definitely, this is still one of my favourite models. The reason why I've got all these out today, apart from the video, them, is the fact that they need some maintenance. So this model is about 6.5 years old. It's just called the Red House because it's a red house. I love it. I just absolutely love it. Look. It's kind of lanterns and islands. It's deliberately made so it's got bits you can get underneath and get figures into, and a little jetty for a rowing boat to come alongside, and rushes. And this is the period when I discovered railway model bushes and plants and reeds and that kind of stuff. So it's got kind of like raspberry bushes on the side here, and I think these could be elder flower, but seasonally, technically, they don't actually do the thing at the same time, but hey, whatever. But I've got these out because they need maintenance. You can see that this has got a back deck on it, which has got a roped kind of walkway, and it all needs sticking back together because when I put this on the table at Sloot, I want it to look top notch. So from that point of view, I've got all this out today so I can go over all these models and check them out. These models, like all of my B&B models, of course, come apart. The roofs come off. Roofs again done with teddy bear fur thatch, and they've got fittings in them to hold LED lights as well. So this roof comes apart in 2 parts. It's got an XPS foam chimney. There we go. And this one's partially detailed inside. I absolutely love the Red House. It's one of my favourite ones. In many ways, it is my version of Rat's House from Wind in the Willows. Another really early model, well, not early model, but pre-YouTube channel model is the Red Barrel. And again, the Red Barrel I absolutely love this model. It's really nice. It is, and I've got to go through all the boxes because it's lost its Red Barrel, which is a flipping disaster. It's got a red barrel on the front, and again, I absolutely love this model too. It's got the same kind of thing, jetties. The waterway just needs a bit of touching up. I like this because we started making our own. We're using the B&B posters and stuff to add extra detail. And again, this one comes apart, and this has got details inside, shields on the wall, fireplace with a fire in it. In the back section, there are beer barrels and a fireplace, and actually one of my very favourite features in this. Let's just get that. One of my very favourite features in here, I don't know if you can see this, is in by the fireplace, by the door. There's a club, a Morning Star, just behind the door. So if it all kicks off in the bar, the publican can just walk around the back and pick up a Morning Star and start clubbing people. So yeah, this is a really early model, and again it needs a bit of maintenance. I'm going to have to go and look for the other crates in the garage to find a bloody red barrel because it's not attached. Hadn't noticed that, but I'm glad today I'm doing this. Then the YouTube channel kind of started, and a lot of these other things then there are videos for. Any village, one of the problems when you're making villages is a lot of people don't put enough actual just regular dwellings into a village. You get like a chapel and a pub and a forge and what you don't get is where people live. So I wanted to definitely get some of the homes of some of the denizens of Beamfleot. So this is a nice one. The stilt house I refer this to because it's one of the ones highest up on stilts, and again it's deliberately made like this so there's enough room under here to get figures and boats, and you can have quite a detailed game here. The whole, this time I made the fireplace and the chimney so it comes apart, so it all lifts off in one. It's a very basic model. This black weatherboarding is very, very Essex marshes. So again, this model, I mean, it's made literally from balsa wood and balsa planking. It was dead. In many ways, they're dead easy to use and dead easy to make. Stairs on the side. Stairs are always a pain. I always talk about stairs. Do you make them realistic or practical? In this case, they're mostly, well, they're the kind of mix of the two, I think. But so the stilt house is nice. It's a plain house, but it gives a different bit of height and that kind of thing. Then I made this set, 3 dwellings in one. So we've got, and it comes apart again, and you can see where it's been bashed around and needs a bit of repair. I'm going to do that in a moment. So the roofs come off separately. I can't remember how they work on this model clearly, but again, teddy bear thatch, and I wanted this to be really dingy and kind of like moss covered. So we've got 3 dwellings, this one in the middle. There's no easy way up or down to it. That roof comes off separate, and I kind of like see that as being a kind of like a birdhouse up there because you have to fly up to get into that one. Then I'm not going to bother with the roof. Then the rest of the roofs come off. That's how it works. The rest of the roofs come off, and then we've got 2 separate dwellings. This one here. And a slightly larger house over here. There could be shops, they could be houses. They've got like nice little marsh marigolds down here around the front. So this gives us kind of starts to build your town, starts to give you more kind of places for ordinary creatures to live. It's quite a large building, but then it also gives us kind of walkways and jetties and gaps in between for running and jumping, that kind of thing. I think I like the jeopardy of the risk of living in a place like Beamfleot where you can be falling off things all the time. Then one of the things that always gets me about living on the East Coast and what we don't use a lot of, because I don't think it's very efficient actually, is the power of the tide. Around here, there's on the back. This is the tide mill. Again, all made from balsa, comes apart in several sections. Roof comes off here somehow. Oh yeah, the roof comes off all in one go. But that bit of building comes off. This wooden platform here lifts off. So we've got all this. The only bit of this that I didn't make entirely myself was the water wheel itself, which I think is a laser cut MDF water wheel. Cannot remember which company made it. I don't think it's one of the biggies, but even then I felt the need to completely cover it in balsa wood, a thin layer of balsa wood, so I could actually work it up and make it look like proper wood, which is kind of cool. And then I played around with glue on the back to have water dripping off the back. So again, it's another one of my standard kind of Beamfleot thing. You get down really close to it, you can see it's on different islands and with wooden structures in between, different levels. This will be a really cool roleplay setting. I don't know, but it's good fun for tabletop skirmishing. But from a roleplay setting point of view, it'll be a really, really cool place to kind of like play games. I like this a lot. So it's got a wooden platform that goes out over the water wheel, and it's you know, the power of the tide. You only have to watch spring tides on the River Crouch to know it's pretty powerful stuff. But apparently not very efficient. Not in the kind of like way you want it to be. What else we got then? Right, so then we start getting into the kind of like specialist bits of terrain. This is where I started getting a bit flash. This is the fighting pit. Beamfleot, I like to think, is a bit of a lawless place. Yeah, in here, this is, we've got the kind of like the hexagon. Yeah, I like the fact that it's really low down to the water. The fighting level in here is really low down to the water, so I can imagine the tide coming up, and if you get stuck in a fight, you end up fighting, slopping around in the mud, that kind of thing. There are spikes inside to stop people climbing up. And again, even this has got the odd thing. It's lost the odd banner that says pit fights. It needs some paint job touching up and some gluing and repairing. But this is kind of cool. I made I converted a B&B slave badger into a pit fighter specifically to go with this piece of terrain, which was quite neat. Then the beaver priest, again, another specific model I made for my Beamfleot setting, where I converted the regular beaver priest into something else. This is his beaver's dam shrine and a temple, which I absolutely adore. I love this model because it's got loads of junk on it, bits of anchor and broken ships and steering wheels and wrecked ship and that kind of thing. And the back end of one of the Ideneth Deepkin shipwrecks, things and broken up bits of boat. This is the ubiquitous resin rowing boat from, I think it's from Hovels. They're all over the place. You always see them on watery scenes. Old school games all got them. So to my homage to that is to stick one permanently on here. So this is kind of cool. And again, the lid comes off, so you can see where the inside of the temple, very basic beaver's dam in there, which is kind of neat. And then, yeah, again, maintenance required. Actually, maintenance wasn't required before today, because this mast which goes up here, where they've got a bell that they ring when ships are coming or whatever else, was fine until I took it out of the box today and busted it today, so I don't need to stick it back on. Idiot. And then, actually, I think my very favourite model, apart from the red house, oh, well, I'll tell you what, let's have a blatant... this is one of the only models in Beamfleot that really isn't my build, because it is basically one of those Ideneth Deepkin ship things that makes the mists and stuff, so the sea elves in Age of Sigmar can work. But it's just a really cool wrecked ship. So what did we do? We took it, we stuck mounted a boar on the front, the personification of a boar, so one of the gods of the Beamfleot, one of the gods of the B&B pantheon on it. We've put a fleur-de-lis on the stern, because that's very much a symbol of it, and this is from Whitby. So this is from right up in Northumbria, and this ship was wrecked in Beamfleot, which I quite like. And it's marshy and stuff. It's good for objectives and being a centrepiece for a table where you've got to slop through the mud to go and grab the pay chest or whatever. And then we get on to, I think, my favourite model I've made for Beamfleot, because it's the quirkiest. This is where, I mean, if there isn't whimsy already, this is where all the whimsy is. God, people get so drunk watching this. This is I was inspired to make this because of the puffin model that Michael brought out. And this is my kind of like lighthouse come watch house. I really love this model. It's super cute. It's made on a XPS foam stone island with stairs cut into it, and then several layers of watch house come lighthouse type thing. So lighthouse is there's a light up beacon that goes on top. So I suppose it's a lighthouse, but it can be the watch house. Yeah, I really love this model. It's got fish scale roof tiles, so it's more expensive, more important permanent building in the town because it's got a different roof on it. And I've painted the roof to make it look like fish scales as much as I can as well. So again, I absolutely love this model, and I'm sure there's some maintenance that needs to be done to this. I nearly forgot, one of the most important bits of this setting, actually, not just the building, is all the wooden walkways and jetties. I'm just going to pile them up here. Because although in B&B you've got characters that can swim, quite a lot can't, and it does slow you down. So making walkways and jetties is super important for this kind of setting. Again, it's all balsa wood. I've got angled ones that have got water underneath them. I've got straight ones wide enough to take B&B figures, because that's the problem with Burrows and Badgers, of course, is your massive beast 50mm bases. So these were made specifically for B&B so you can get big figures on them, whereas some of the other walkways I've got and big square jetties for marketplaces and stuff, using scraps of XPS foam and stone from my gardens, making a few islands and stuff for other kind of scatter terrain is quite useful. And then, of course, I've even got some absolutely vintage, Tim vintage kind of jetties here, because some of these, one of these is my absolute favourite, is this one, because it's just a nice little bridge with wooden walkways. I can't claim the glory of making these few brilliant bits of wooden jetty, which I still got. They were made by my very good friend Matt, who I went to school with. He was best man at my wedding. I was his best man too. Matt and I, years ago, 25 years ago or so, actually before that, because it was before Mordheim, we created a game called Warhammer Ahoy. You might have heard of it. It was a skirmishy game, Warhammer with ships. It was kind of like inspired a little bit by Man of War, but it wasn't Man of War. And then Mordheim came along, and it kind of like changed the way you play. It's really cool. And Matt made these wooden walkways from balsa, 25 years ago. And look, mate, they're still going strong. So from that point of view, that's all, most of the terrain that's going to be on the Beamfleot table. It's not absolutely everything I've got, but it is most of the stuff going to be on a 4 by 4 table. We are running introductory games of Burrows and Badgers at Salute 53. So if you want to get closer to this lot, and get closer to the one I'm working on, I'm about to finish off, come and find us at GC09 at Salute on April 11th. Nice one. Better get the glue and paint out now, haven't I? Right, better. Okay, so I'm at the end of this video. Actually, I'm making this end of this video, this kind of like plenary, if you will, at the end where I've got them all done. It's over there. It's not painted yet, but the whole thing is done. But I was making this video, and I thought it was going to be one video, but actually, it turned out to be quite a huge video because I videoed absolutely everything. So there's going to be a second part of this B&B build in 2 or 3 days time. Rather than have like an hour and a half or more of video, I thought I'd have 2, or could it be more? Yeah. So rather than have an hour and a half of video, I thought I'd have 2 videos spread out over the week. So this is the end of part 1, and we've got up to the point where we have finished the platform. The next video then will have the building of the structure that goes on top, and then we're going to roll in towards the last 2 weeks. Oh crap! Before what's it called? Salute 53, where I've still got left to build then a cliff face, a cave, and do a resin pour on a river. And before I can get on with all of those last few things to build, we also have a live stream this coming Sunday night, March the 29th, 7:30 PM UK time. Join me and Harry right here in this, my workshop, my office, whatever. I will be building a model that I'm hoping to deliver at Salute, but it's not actually for our games at Salute. It's a Victorian pub for the game, what's it called? Empire of the Dead. It's up there on the shelf. Empire of the Dead. It's a long outstanding Patreon build that I should have completed a long time ago for a young man who I'm hoping is going to rock up at the show and pick it up. So from that point of view, got a lot to do. So thank you very much for watching Magathea Build All Worlds. Make sure that you leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the first part of the build. Click like and subscribe. Share this with all your mates. Stick with me on the road to Salute 53. I'll see you very soon. Thanks for watching. Here's a couple of pictures of where the project got to so far.